I'm taking turnovers to a whole new level with Italian Sfogliatelle. These ricotta stuffed pastries are unbelievably flaky, and I'm going to start with that pastry. And believe it or not, this is like nothing you've seen because I start the process by making pasta dough. I know, I told you it was crazy. So I'm starting with 2 1/3 cups of bread flour. And an ingredient you typically find in a pasta dough is durum semolina. So I'm going to measure 3/4 of a cup right into my mixing bowl. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm adding 1 cup of warm water. I'll add it all at once and start the mixer on low speed. You see how rough and dry this dough is? That's exactly how it's supposed to be. But don't be tempted to add more water. There we go. And I'm just going to take a second to knead it, to smooth it all out and really work those proteins. Now what I need to do is divide this into 4 equal pieces. Roll up each piece. I do like to make these a day ahead if I can, and I just let them chill overnight in the fridge. And they'll definitely feel different when you pull them from the fridge. They'll feel a bit softer because that flour has relaxed and absorbed all that water. Now it's time to hook up my pasta attachment. There we go. And for the first few rolls, you may need just a little flour for dusting. And then I just use a rolling pin just to make it thin enough to fit through the pasta machine. So you want to start your pasta attachment on your widest setting. And feed it through again. This starts building in the structure so I can keep stretching and stretching and stretching that dough and it won't tear. And you're not gonna believe it, you're gonna end up with about 5 feet from this one piece of dough. Almost there, one more. Now, I'm gonna give this a cut in half, just because I don't have a counter long enough. So I have a combination here, equal parts vegetable shortening and butter, 1/2 cup of each. And then this butter shortening mixture on my hand, and then just spread a nice even layer all over the dough onto these 2 pieces. Now for the stretching and rolling. When you put your dough through a pasta maker, well, it can only go as wide as 6 inches. So I actually want to try and stretch it wider and then start rolling and keep stretching as you go and roll. And this tiny little spiral is going to grow and grow and grow. Now, once you get to the end, then you just simply carry it over to your next piece and overlap the 2 together. Once I get in the groove, put on some good music. It only takes about 20-25 minutes, start to finish. There we go. I'm going to leave a little end piece here and start on my next piece of dough, exactly the same way. 4 folds on the lowest setting, then slowly notch it up until I'm on the thinnest setting, laminate, and away I go. It may not be a glamorous process, just think of all those layers of the pastry. That's how we're gonna get that beautiful, almost clamshell-like shape to these turnovers. Well, after all that rolling and stretching, this dough definitely needs a break. I'll pop this in the fridge to chill, and that gives me time to make the filling. So the first thing I do is I heat up some milk and water. 1/2 cup of water and 1/2 cup of milk. And to sweeten the filling, I add 1/2 cup of sugar right to the liquid and let that melt out. Now that my milk and water has come up to a simmer, I'm gonna sprinkle in the semolina, 2/3 of a cup in total. And whisk it, that way I don't get lumps. And this only takes a minute or 2 to thicken up. And when you see it pull away from the bottom of the pot, then you know it's cooked. Now, transfer it to a bowl, and I have a full pound of creamy ricotta cheese. Oh, you want to use the full-fat ricotta here. This is all about the decadence. And I'll stir that in. So immediately, the ricotta cheese cools down the semolina mixture. All right, now for 2 egg yolks. And the typical flavoring in this ricotta filling, the zest of an orange. And I also add ½ a cup of candied orange peel. And before I stir everything together, just a pinch of cinnamon and nutmeg. Oh, it smells so good. There we go. I'll wrap this up and keep it chilled while my dough chills, and then it's time to assemble them. I'll cut it into 16 pieces. So really, each piece is about ½ an inch thick. All right, filling unwrapped. So take your round, and you can see all those layers with that butter shortening mixture in there. So with the heel of my hand, I press the dough out from the center, just quickly. Then flip it upside down, and have your thumbs inside and coax that dough into a bit of a cone, really. And then spoon in a generous dollop of that ricotta filling. Now, close it a little bit, but you don't even have to seal the pastry. Just bring the ends together a bit and place it on your tray. Now these are ready for the oven. It takes a really hot oven, 400 degrees, and I give them 25 to 30 minutes. Oh, these are unbelievable. Honestly, there is no pastry that bakes up just like this. Look at all those layers. That's why you went through all the work, so you could show off this beautiful end result. Give these a little dusting. I find the icing sugar actually highlights, accentuates the flakiness. And it's exactly how you would buy them in a bakery in Naples. Absolutely beautiful. You can even hear the flakiness before I take the first bite. I forgot to warn you, you have to eat this leaning over. Icing sugar, flakiness, everywhere.